Thank you, Des. Thank you, friends. Yeah, really interesting matchup here, and I kind of want to just immediately go into the conversation surrounding the picks that we had for the predictions. For me, I think this is for NBG. It's been a back and forth season for them, but this has been one of the more competitive challenger stage ones that we've had. I mean, we've got so many teams that are sitting at 3-2 or 2-3, and they have been going the distance in every single game, and I just like that experience for NBG heading into Abyss.
Yeah, but you also have to think about how tiring those long matches can be, but it also says a lot about the endurance that they're able to build up. I think the swaps here that you were mentioning, though, Shift, when it comes down to these compositions, just looks much more comfortable for the NBG players overall. It's actually kind of crazy to think that we've leaned now into a meta and a map pool where the chamber has been so popular, and this is the first time we're seeing Fireball Ops pulling it out in VCL this stage, if I'm not mistaken. And we have to throw back to the OG chamber meta. Like, Fireball Ops was one of the best chamber players in tier 2 at that time. I'm really excited to see him back onto this agent now for this matchup. This change, I think, is going to be absolutely massive and a very quick fiery start here to the pistol round with a fast battle over towards it.
Yeah, just full-on scrum right in front of the A site, and T-Dog will have the advantage now over towards ADG's defense. Fireball Ops, though, Liz's all-time favorite player of everything ever, is in the 1v2 situation. And yeah, nice angle from Sacred, just kind of watching the cross back. No worries, no problems. ADG with the pistol.
Very comfortable for them. I think the other thing too here, Shift, is when we're looking at this Abyss, I think this map really sets the tone for the rest of the series. When we're taking a look at the rest of the map pool being split in Corrode, these two teams are pretty even as far as comfortability goes on this. NBG are coming in now with a compositional change. Meanwhile, we've seen ADG have so much success, not in VCL because we haven't seen Abyss for them so far this stage here, but during some other events within tier 2 and tier 3, they've been absolutely popping off.
Yeah, I like that. Really solid start. Obviously for ADG now with weapon advantage, they're able to really kind of control the tempo and the tone here in the opening half. Although that's a decent opening there for Carson. Not quite able to do too much with it though, just thanks to the control in front of this choke point for the defenders. So an opportunity to try to open the door largely goes amiss, and Chaotic can just hold this with what will be one shot after one shot, pending he can hit the shots. Shock dart into the corner. You got a couple of stuns and control elements going into the way, and ADG are going to clean this up. Question mark? Yes, should be good. Fireball, last one standing, nowhere to go. 2 will drop in the process.
And I know that, you know, the entry that we saw from Son of Car there, it's a little bit of a different story because they're on that eco up against the anti-eco of ADG into round 2, but that's kind of what you are expecting to see from him as this map will continue to go on this attacking side. It's going to be a lot of Son of Car using that waylay to just completely dive in, make a lot of space, and something that the rest of NBG are so good at is that follow-up. Like, he's there to create that chaos, and the rest of the team is looking to get those trades to help, you know, maintain the value out of those kinds of pushes.
Yeah, exactly the case. Now we have full weapons, though, in the hands of NBG. And they will spread the map a little bit, but I like this out of ADG. That's not going to be confusing to do NBG, ADG, but kind of taking some space away here at B. It's well received, though, by Nightblood. And they're going to find the first 2 kills. That is going to be a pretty vacant B site. It's going to have Hugh moving over, but he's only got a Bucky.
Yeah, look at how weak this defense is looking now, right? So many holes. It was a riskier play with trying to push up, trying to punish the solo player they're expecting towards that B side. It's going to be all up to this high-low to make this run possible here.
Could work. I mean, you have the ability to get some taps out with the Guardian, but here comes all the intel gathering tools for the approach. And yeah, Bones just has absolutely nowhere to go. Son of Car again, just showcasing the power of the dash. Finding one, getting out, letting NBG find full control of the site. And with that, you will just drop off the map, and that'll get Nightblood on the board. Clean round.
Exactly what we want to see coming out from them. I think this composition is going to be really fun to watch as it develops. I'm curious about like the depth that we're going to see out of this compositional change as well from NBG. We've seen a lot of cool things with how the Teho has become so much more prevalent throughout this meta on maps like Abyss, and the space that Practo is going to be expected to be able to clear out backside with those salvos as Son of Car is looking to kind of capitalize on any players from ADG who are trying to run off of those angles.
Little shove at mid from both sides early here in round 4. Nothing really to come of it though, just a little show of pressure. And once again, Azure Dragon just trying to control and just kind of keep Nightblood on their toes a little bit with these early pressures on the outsides of the map. This is just a show of force with the Owl drone, and it has Nightblood a little antsy about if anyone has stayed forward in the scale towards A long, but they'll clear this out as soon as the smoke dissipates and realize that they are good to use this site if they want to.
Yeah, T-Dog's got to read. They're expecting this A main push right now. Shock Dart to go out to do a little bit of chip damage if possible. Not going to happen, but look at that all information.
That's right as all the intel tools for the offense come through, so T-Dog knows there's going to be some sort of a commitment. Chaotic also able to respond by getting into the site, and he's got crossfire setups now set up with Bones. A couple of Nightblood kills, though, over at mid do have this ADG defense a little vulnerable for now, but largely speaking, that was a perfect perception for the defense. Spaz, I believe, will catch a couple of sound cues here.
Oh, this
just comes down to the timing.
There's still a chance to try and isolate a 1v1 here. He's so aware of this position. And it's just going to be shut down. No opportunity there, ADG, to close that one out and get a third round on the board for them. But you can already tell, Shift, NBG, they're very aware of how ADG need to find success on defense with this composition, right? Running that double duelist with a double smoke. A lot of the push and pull plays that you're expecting out of the Yoru Waylay duelist pairing there too. That's why you see a lot of that utility, whether it's the saturate or a salvo being thrown out over towards those mains, trying to deny some of those early information peaks out of the side of ADG. Like you're saying, just their ability to adjust and adapt backside made all of the difference in denying that late round push.
Here.
Well, this could be an interesting change-up in terms of what Nightblood want to do on this offensive side. Fireball ops able to use the information for the first. Son of Card gets a second. That's weapon collected. So opportunity to fight back here with numbers now if you are Nightblood in a lesser weapon situation. But again, just kind of holding over towards Vents is perfect for this Bucky. Now you've got significant numbers on a post-plant setup where Chaotic is really going to be working with much less than he'd like to, considering that the Dimensional Drift is available if, well, they can find a pick.
I mean, this should be around in the pocket here for NBG. Time starting to tick slowly here as well. And with the rewrap towards heaven, there's no way this defuse is going to go down.
Shouldn't. And yeah, wow, what a response this has been in Nightblood. I get just kind of looking at how things have been going in these first 4 rounds. ADG just kind of showing force, especially on the extremities of the map. And Nightblood, you kind of feel bad with their lack of ability to convert on a full gun round where they had a decent opening. But to really just kind of shove it up through vent with lesser weapons, it kind of reduces that variability between both sides. You find a couple of kills, you find a couple of weapons, and it turns into a runaway. Now the eco is flipped.
Yeah, good adjustments overall. Again, just that understanding of how they're expecting to ADG to call a lot of these plays in the early round with the control of those extremities that you were talking about there. This time, though, NBG are going to be shifting the pace a little bit. First time we're seeing a heavier investment towards mid. ADG, they don't have the weaponry to really contest it, so it should be free for NBG to look to walk over. You can already see the adjustments being made, maybe some sort of collapse that they'll be looking on for. Again, still slow plays here for NBG. They're curious to see if ADG want to get a bit aggressive on this eco round.
Yeah, sure do. Practo may not know it initially, but he's watching a perfect angle here. You don't figure that Bones will peek this, though. He's also kind of waiting for the same information of door pops, I shoot, hopefully kill comes through. Yeah, that's exactly the case. This has a classic out looking for what I imagine would be a pretty hefty right click, but the map will swing as we make the rotation over towards B. And I don't believe that there's been any information gathered so far by Spaz, just kind of making sure no one's pushed up. So this will be a 5-man execute for Nightblood.
Yeah, should be a comfortable one there at that. Smokes are out, and it's going to be up to Hugh to maybe try and find something behind this smoke.
Now Sunakar will be the first one out, able to catch Hugh, at least informationally. But look at this, use him with the slogan over the top. You got 100 Spirit trying to defend against this. It's going to be a 2-man elimination spree here for ADG. Practo holding onto the site. Sacred, had an angle, but couldn't quite convert. 2v2. No weapons collected as of yet, though, for the defenders, so they're still working with pistols. But it is a tense one, especially as T-Dog shows himself up top. There's the second follow-up from Bones. Practo shuts that down, gets off the reload, and Practo will find the final. So back-to-back lower eco rounds that started to get a little bit tense, but Nightblood have gotten us tied at 3.
Yeah, getting way too close for comfort. There was a world where ADG could have absolutely converted that round too. I think overcommitting to that flood onto site initially, while NBG had a bit of time to actually look to reset some of those positions. But overall, it was a nice opening for the eco. They did a decent amount of damage there at that, but we're all tied up now here. A lot of big ultimates to be online. NBG, you've got that Convergent Pass, you've got that Cosmic Divide. Same thing on the side of ADG there for the Waylay. On top of that Dimensional Drift.
Little battle possibly to brew at mid as the door at vent has been opened up. Aldrone will scout at least one member. That'll have Bones put in a smoke down to block the line of sight, as the tour de force is obviously going to be respected here pretty quickly. But for the defense, they feel good about the fact that, hey, we've got some obstacles that NBG would have to clear out, so we'll go ahead and just stack either site here with a 3-2 split.
You can see some pings going out towards A main. They might look to re-clear that main extremity there as well to get a better read on the map here for ADG. Meanwhile, NBG, they've got that stack over towards the B side, and with that A main peak that we just saw coming through, there should be that understanding.
Offensive Aldrone out. There's the dashes forward, and Sudakar will just back off as the Divergent Pass will be spent, or rather the Armageddon will be spent here. And that, whoa, hold on a second. Bones able to find a long-range shot across the map over towards B, kind of has this offense posturing to maybe probably retreat back, and T-Dog's in position to stop this. So now you're down to under 30 seconds to play. T-Dog's trying to survive as long as simply possible. There's the Divergent Paths coming through, and T-Dog's gonna hold the corner. He's able to find one. That's a huge elimination, and time is an issue now for this 2v2. Bones able to follow up to find the spike carrier, and it's all on to Fireball with this tour de force, and you have to figure there is no chance that ADG challenge this or peak whatsoever. There's just no time to plant. Fireball will find one more, but that will be the end of the round. What a save from ADG.
Honestly, absolutely insane. It was a great push. We talked about that extremity control over towards A, the information that they were looking to find there as well. And if you're NBG too, though, or if you're ADG as well, for T-Dog, you've got to be thrilled about the fact that you forced that Convergent Paths out just for him alone, and they're not even able to secure that around. That's just so much impact that T-Dog was able to have in that flank over towards Spawn. Now, on the side of NBG, you've got still a couple ults to work with here, but that was a very ult-heavy investment round for Nightblood to be losing.
Yeah, really, really much so. And again, it's just this defense continues to find the right ground to work with, as now Hugh's going to step up aggressively at mid, finds one, teleports back to safety. T-Dog now passing the baton between the two of them. He'll find one more to keep the numbers in favor of ADG. Chaotic also kind of watching this angle. The Bones, maybe goes a little bit too quick, or does he? Shows the hand, and that will be enough for the rest of the defense to collapse on this heavy fight through mid.
Good job isolating one at the very least. 1v2 to still work with here. The high-low will be held here by ADG on top of that spike.
Yeah, this would have to be a very special moment from Spaz. Going to clear out the close corner. Now here's the difficult part. Has a Nova Pulse if they want to use it, try to clear out this angle. Or even, yeah, use the vacuum to try to pull them all into the gravity well, but ADG have backed off nicely and just going to play on this crossfire setup or this high-low setup with the staircase. There goes the smoke. Able to isolate the 1v1, but he was prepared for it, and that's a 5-3 tally for ADG. Eco will start to move around maybe just a little bit here with Nightblood really kind of taking a hit in the last 2 rounds.
I think these adjustments from the defenders is something that I was kind of praising them for in their last matchup up against Winthrop University. It felt like T-Dog was just doing such a good job with a lot of the conditioning, a lot of the reads that he had on his opponents, and it's the same thing that we're seeing right now. We saw, you know, those initial couple of rounds where ADG got a lot more aggressive. Then they pull back, they slow down, and then in round 8, they go for that aggression once again. Just a bit of a different look at what that collapse is going to look like.
Yeah, and these waylays have really showed us the respect that has to be garnered into that early conditioning that you've talked about, just due to the fact that both have shown us that, yeah, we're going to dash forward, say, hey, look at us. You need to clear this, especially behind the cover of smoke, before you can commit to anything. And so far, that conversation, that narrative has shifted in favor of ADG, who have Nightblood really kind of having to play reactionary, although Spaz is kind of going on a little bit of a rogue mission here to see how much space they can clear off by themselves. And we'll see Sacred on the shoulder. Ooh. And that may be enough to determine, okay, we know the Clove is here. Do we try to bully them out and get on to B? And it looks like that's going to be the case with the Cosmic Divide.
Oh, we're in front of the wall here as well. Fireball Ops going to fall prey to that one. And they can at least hear that spike being tapped and initiated on top of that. T-Dog knows that Son of Car is on top of rafters.
Has a lot of things to watch for, though, as Monzi gets the plant. T-Dog gonna wait for this smoke to fade, and more importantly, you would figure, also wait for the rest of the defense to get there. There's the drone trying to reveal. Dimensional drift on the defensive side. Son of Car getting active, though. We'll find one. Has an opportunity to get behind this defensive retake. If the timing suffices, then yes, second kill comes through, but ADG find a couple of their own. Sacred off 2, leaves Practo in the corner. 1v3, now down to a 1v2. Tags coming through to the 1v1. Has the pistol for now. 3 bullets would have to hit the head here as Sacred's going to go up and over. Right click comes through, and there's just not enough ammunition for Practo. Give Sacred 4, give ADG the round.
Man, a near clutch to come out there from Practo, but a great retake incoming for Sacred. Overall, NBG, that felt like a round that we were expecting them to win, but the flood back through was just so good out from ADG. The spacing was impeccable in that retake with the utility being thrown out there too, but now we're seeing the timeout to be called here from NBG. This is also the half that we have to keep in mind. We're expecting a little bit more from them. We haven't gotten to see actually that much of Nightblood's attack in their last 2 matches. They only played, I think, 15 rounds of attack on Abyss over their last 2 games here on this map, which is kind of crazy. So there is a little bit more like left to be desired. They looked a lot more comfortable on the attacking side too in their previous composition, of course. And then, you know, we're kind of wondering, okay, what is defense going to look like, especially with the new comp coming in? But even in moments like this, it isn't necessarily always like a strategical timeout, right, Shift? Sometimes it's, you know, maybe the comms just get a little bit too crazy. We're getting a little bit disarrayed when we are in a lot of more of those like firefights. And how do we look to like reset that mentally and come back down to earth as a team?
Yeah, and I think a little bit of the implication surrounding that added chaos that maybe needed to be managed is the fact that ADG is just taking away 60% of the time on the round before Nightblood can even get active. So you're in this moment of, okay, now we can finally execute because we've cleared out, you know, these aggressive control positions that ADG are throwing at us, but we only have 30 seconds left. So all that extra pressure on the clock has led to some failed moments, and it kind of feels like the story of Nightblood so far in a lot of matches that they've played versus other top teams so far in the group stage is simply put that they're close but not able to get through the finish line in a couple of rounds, in particular these last 3, as we'll have a split buy situation here in round 10, and Nightblood, like you mentioned, just would not like to only have 3 or maybe even 4 rounds on this offensive half, considering how it's been set up so far. They've looked decent, just can't quite finish off the important rounds.
Yeah, and you see the rotations incoming so quickly here as well. Again, these floods back onto site are what have just been so comfortable for ADG into those retakes. No flank, though, this time around on the side of ADG, and that's also always been a pretty key recipe to their success on a lot of these sandwiches.
This time, Son of Car able to shut down the retake before it begins. Hunter's Fury to follow up, and this is well structured here for a post-plant setup. Owen's last one left, and at least on this angle, he's going to need Chaotic to open up something from up high. Practo nearly able to catch the timing before the teleport comes through, but Bones is now stuck on the site with nowhere to go. And okay, that's a little bit more like it from Nightblood. It just felt that much more convincing in nature, right? Like it wasn't like this, we need to deal with this, then we need to deal with that. It was, everything was in front of them that round, and maybe a little bit luckily, ADG kind of got stuck in that choke point on the B connector with the Hunter's Fury still available.
I think it also helps when Practo's going absolutely dummy in that round too with the Stinger. What did he get? Like a 3K? He's 14-6 right now there for Nightblood, but the spacing looked a lot more comfortable. The trades coming in looked a lot more comfortable. And for ADG now, they're going for this B main aggression once again to go for that information searching with the Bucky here for Hugh.
Will likely retract back and will So again, good patience here for Nightblood. That is a very important prior round. Again, just talking about the overall scoreboard. Early, T-Dog gonna go the Hunter's Fury. Connects once on the Fireball Ops, but not much else behind that. Here comes Son of Car though, diving on forward, able to find one, reveals onto more players inside the site, but he will eventually get some sort of a shutdown. Trying to survive at the back of the site with the Bucky. Good damage coming through, will not be able to finish off Spaz though. And it'll be on to Bones, who will find a rifle to work with for the remainder of this 1v3.
Spike planted.
Oh, opportunity to sneak onto site. Not aware of it until that drone came through. Perfect timing. Paranoia available.
Cover going out.
We'll try to throw a little bit of a one-way. Unfortunately, Spaz knows where the isolation is going to come through thanks to that reveal that you called. And Nightblood, an important back-to-back set of rounds, gets them now within one of tying the half, which, again, considering how rounds 7, 8, and 9 had gone, you're thinking, wow, this would be insane, especially considering you still have an Armageddon at the ready, and there's only Bones with a teleport on the other side from the shadow. So this is going to be just, again, game plan-wise, who's better, and can you actually get some value out of the Armageddon to clear space?
All off the back of that timeout too, right? Just whatever the conversation was, which direction that conversation went, just made all of the difference there for Nightblood. You're pointing out that Armageddon. Last time we saw it used towards that B side.
Huge first.
Absolutely massive. But Sacred's still going to keep going. And he's had some... We haven't talked about him all that much, honestly, in this matchup, because I feel like a lot of these rounds have been so quick with a lot of those firefights. It's hard to tell always exactly who is having that crazy impact. But Sacred has had some insane moments to rescue rounds here for ADG, catching Nightblood off guard with an important pick or two. And you look at all this mid and A main control here as well. There's also that opportunity to go for that flank onto this retake.
Yeah, the problem is that, honestly speaking, Fireball Ops is just in a good spot to play the pivot point. And I understand if you're ADG, you lose that first blood, you're trying to create something by keeping Sacred forward, but retaking the B site of the post plant without the waylay is going to feel very difficult.
Yeah.
So you're going to need some great control presence out of Bones and Sacred here.
He has bypassed it, but they are aware of that hole, right? That's why you see the adjustment from Spaz.
If Sacred drops here, the round's over. Bones will drop. Sacred will keep their alive. Needs more than that. T-Dog somehow blindly takes care of Son of Car. That's a miscue from Nightblood, but Practo may have just saved things, has the Armageddon still ready for the post plant. And unless T-Dog can absolutely break a wrist and snap on these two, should be a pretty casual round to finish, and it is. Nightblood will take the half to a 6-6 tally. Impressive bounce back after the stretch of 3 rounds, 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, great recovery. It did feel like at first this was such like a ADG heavy side initially because of the adjustments that were coming through so quickly, adapting to how Nightblood were looking to play. But again, so much success just off the back of one timeout for that reset here for NBG. Now onto the defense. This is a side where we've had a few more questions for Nightblood Gaming with their previous composition. However, now with the new comp that they're running, you do have that trip there for Fireball Ops. You have a little bit more of that stalling power to try and buy a little bit more time on a lot of those rotations and keep these players from getting too isolated in some of these plays. But again, ADG, this is a team, they like to take the attacking side very fast on those executions when you are expecting Hugh to be making so much space.
Oh, here we go, quick. Yep, Hugh. Able to get one. Bounce back. Uh-oh, Practo. Oh, wow. He's just got a little bit of coverage here. Hold on a second. He's able to find a shot the T-Dog's dome. A little bit of extra damage into more players, but ADG's numbers will allow them to trade back. Son of Car. Timing here. Thinking about dropping down while the spike is being planted, but you can hear that toggle. They were ready for that play. And Nightblood will now find themselves in a very difficult 2v4 retake. Although Son of Car may be able to isolate on one here if they can swing onto Chaotic. And they do. So a little bit of space to work with. Fireball finds a second, but Son of Car down to a single point of damage essentially away from being eliminated, and ADG will take the pistol.
Yeah, both pistol rounds now into the hands of ADG for our first map of today's elimination matchup here in this stage. That's the one thing that we got to keep you guys reminded of at home is for this series, it's all about staying alive to try and get that opportunity to still qualify for playoffs. Otherwise, you're going to be out and we'll have to see you in split too.
all the pressure in the world, but in a moment there, you kind of saw it. It's just like, is this going to turn into something that may have just been a bit of luck with the lineups there with that classic up top? Not the case. So Nightblood going to take the full classic approach and hard stack onto this A site surrounding a star, but ADG, whether they know this or not, I've guessed correctly on getting themselves set up to go to B.
Yeah, kind of curious to see if Nightblood will commit to any sort of actual walk up and flank out from A. Not going to be the case. You know what? We're going the deny alt orbs strat book right now. NBG just going to toss this round away. They want to get those weapons back into hand, not trying to cycle Hugh or anybody else up into their ultimates any faster into the second half.
Gun here.
Okay, full weapon now for NBG, but again, the bonus is going to feel pretty, well, full-on bonus for Azure Dragon. Most importantly, you look to see what they want to do in terms of where did the controllers want to get themselves set up at here, because that will be the big difference maker, especially considering you still do have 2 Bulldogs and a Spectre, but largely speaking, going to feel pretty healthy here. Will ADG in the bonus? Just a quick recon to throw some force at A. Spaz will delete it, so that'll cause some momentary question marks for ADG if there's going to be any defensive play forward into A main, but everyone will hold their ground for now.
And I like that too, out from him, when you're considering like the double controller, double duelist composition on the side of ADG, they don't have nearly as much of that utility to like properly re-clear a lot of those angles. So it forces that out a little bit earlier on.
Trap destroyed.
Oh, little shoulder from Spaz reconfirms information that the hit is on towards A. Well, very wisely, will back up far enough to stay away from Hugh. And the defense will move over. One player to watch will be Chaotic, who is trying to work something maybe a little bit delayed through middle, on top of Hugh, who is not retracted back, so will stay here. And you can see the salvos also not going to stop the plant, so Chaotic gets one. The plant is in, and ADG have a huge advantage now in this post-plant setup.
It's a little bit harder for Nightblood to also break back into this retake too, with Son of Car going down, being the tip of the spear here. But Practo, again, has consistently been a difference maker. And as I'm saying that, everybody on ADG start to fall through the smoke there as well. Goes down Chaotic, and Monsi gets that defuse. Ain't no sweat off their back.
Yeah, that's actually massive in terms of being able to recover in that post plant, considering that you get a first blood and you've got deep scaling on the A side here if you're ADG. But Nightblood, good response. Really, again, like to defend against that spike, things were going absolutely bonkers wrong, but hey, fought a couple openers that you don't necessarily expect based on the game plan of that retake, and it turns into a pretty heavy flood forward. So big response there from Nightblood. Full weapons there. That is just against the bonus, so not much lost in all things told for Azure Dragon, who now have a chance to get into the depths of their offensive playbook here in a one-round game.
We might see a change of pace going into this round here, being called from T-Dog as well, with the 5-stack outside of A.
Well, the quick play will withstand the little bit of control that was trying to come through for Nightblood. You in particular is, yeah, they got the judge, but all drone will be blocked by a bit of smoke. Chaotic will be revealed, and then we'll teleport back, and you can just stay here and try to just at least go 1-for-1.
It's just now NBG waiting for everybody else to kind of reconvene onto this retake. Information denied on that judge that you were talking about there too, but forced to swing.
Yeah. Nice opener here from Nightblood, and they're actually going to just completely wide swing Sacred out of position as well. So now it's just down to Bones and T-Dog, 2v5. The first one's good. Bones is going to have a little bit of help with the crossfire. He's able to find 3, including the diffuser, but can't step away to reset the secondary fight. And Spaz will find the elimination and get Nightblood into a tight game. Well, I'll tell you, these retakes, they're on a knife's edge right now, but NBG happy to have 2 in a row.
They've been looking really comfortable in a lot of these retake situations. Again, just constantly being able to delay that plant there over towards A, Procto with the salvo, buying that time for the rotation for Nightblood to actually get over towards that A site so they can flood back on and get the timing correct while ADG try to set up a little bit more comfortably after that plant does go down. Into this round, ADG will be on to an eco 2 hero rifles into the hands of Bones and Sacred. Again, 5-man push towards A main. expecting the dash back sight.
Ooh, shots land. The power of the outlaw come into play. Ah, that's not fun. Up the vents, or the ropes rather, through a smoke, right into a Bucky, wow. Right into a shorty. Something with an E at the end. Hugh does still have an opportunity to potentially do some work here, but yeah, Nightblood, wait for the smoke, toss the drone in, and they will recognize that this is indeed where the remainder of the ADG offense is. Yeesh.
Hey, flawless round there for Fireball Ops. Outlaw's gonna do a lot of damage when you're dealing with those light shields / no shields on the enemy team, right? Very comfortable for NBG to finally find that lead here on Abyss as well. But overall, kind of curious now what the adjustment is going to be from ADG once they have guns back into their hands heading into this round. You've got T-Dog with that Hunter's Fury. We know that he does love to do a blind ult here every once in a while, do a little bit of zoning as well on these attacks towards sight.
Well, another shot lands for Fireball Ops. Really getting it done himself right now for Nightblood in these openings. Bones still on site, committing Hunter's Fury to be pulled out. Good reveal, allows Sacred to catch one. Hunter's Fury to clear out the top set of rafters, but Spaz is still fine for now, but will very wisely wait for help, especially with this deep pinch for the waylay. It's coming quicker than expected, it looks like, for ADG, and T-Dog can be in some serious trouble here. And he is.
That he will be. Now this gets so much more uncomfortable for Sacred and Chaotic.
Yeah, Chaotic's able to give you one. Sacred, not dead yet. We'll find the revive. Chaotic trying to hold ground, but not able to. And Nightblood really putting together again defensively in these very rapid, very quick responses to these executes. They haven't really contested the spike plant, but that seems to be largely what the game plan's calling for. It's working out nicely as they get to double digits.
I think also the space that Nightblood are able to maintain either towards backside, just being able to keep spots like backside over towards CT or Heaven, just denying any possibility of ADG from pushing some of those retake extremities and contesting it. It makes it so much more comfortable for them to be able to flood back into those retake situations. Into this round, though, ADG, they'll have a major tool within Chaotic's Dimensional Drift there on the Yoru for some scouting in this round. They're going to revisit this B site now for the third time in a row, but a massive retake ultimate in the Convergent Pass there for Son of Car as well.
Well, Dimensional Drift will hit early on this potential execute for ADG. And again, like you kind of talked about, Nightblood just kind of holding the backside of the site, continue to finding, you know, numbers advantage early. First one tallied, really good angle there from Sacred, though, to stop one of the defenders from rotating through vent. So it keeps the fight now purely focused on the front as the spike gets planted in the 4v4.
Looking for that flood back in with Convergent Pass down.
Clean.
Oh, that'll work for ADG. They find two before Nightblood could really even execute on this retake, trying to work around these smokes. Now the smokes will fade, and Bones is in perfect spot to make sure no secondary effort comes through. Monzi, not interested in trying for the 1v4, will back away, and ADG this time with a little bit of extra conviction on the speed, tempo, and presence on the B site will walk away with an offensive win.
Well, that's after that Convergence Pass was also invested into this. On top of that, that retake was also slowed down a little bit by that mid presence in the mid round on the side of ADG. We saw somebody getting caught out over towards vents, and you saw a little bit of hesitation on that retake from NBG, just not being sure if that backstab was going to be incoming. And then just overall a great paranoia as well, just to delay that flood back through a little bit further.
Well, an important round here in the scheme of things. You have the paths available for Hugh. A number of other ultimates are very close to being tallied, though, for the defense, most notably the Armageddon and the Cosmic Divide. Hunter's Fury could, of course, play a deterrent, but we'll see how things unfold here as Nightblood are going to take a more passive opening here in the defense. The star positions are aggressive, though, so there's going to be some things for ADG to consider. But largely speaking, the world is your oyster right now if you're ADG, as long as you just, well, get through that, and they just don't expect Practo to be there. Like, we did utility out. No one was even bothering to keep the gun up. So Nightblood catch a free two-piece. Who will respond with one? But I mean, Praktos is continuing to rip him apart. He's got 3 in the round, 2 more in front of him, and this should be pretty comfortable for Nightblood to take their time and reset up, especially with an Armageddon if things get messy.
Yeah, that plant got delayed as well with the salvo, the full rotation here for NBG and ADG. If they even want to try to get the plant down this round, that's if they're even going to go for it, considering their money situation. It might be a world where they're hoping to save instead. Not going to be the case.
One enemy
It's on a car. Wow, that was a nice little response as the double swing with Monzi was good. Monzi is the only one to drop in that little contest there at the end. And yeah, that's just one of those moments that almost feels a bit unexcusable that both players who are hitting vents, neither really have their weapon out. And we're trying to throw like an execute set of utility down from the front doors, but we need to clear that position first before we can commit to that. And a bit of a miscue allows Prakto to essentially single-handedly take a key round away.
Yeah, I don't know if they actually had anyone in position to hear the door break from the tower side. I wasn't paying close enough attention into that early round to see if anyone would have been in a spot where they could hear that sound cue be given, but just small mistakes there on the side of ADG. Now you hear the timeout to be called with NBG up by 2 rounds on ADG's map pick. You also consider the ultimates. You were talking about how close they were to cycling up for the side of Nightblood. They've finally come to fruition here. And for ADG, this is a must-need round for them with the investment that I'm expecting to come through. Otherwise, we'll see NBG onto match point with ADG on potentially broken economy.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Yeah, it really, I mean, the tools are building up nicely right now for Nightblood to close this map out. But I say all of that, and those that have been avid followers know that that is easier said than done. That's been their issue so far, is closing out tight maps. And even though this defensive side has treated them very nicely outside of a misstep in round 19 where they just got caught off guard by the tempo of ADG, they've been in the driving seat the entirety of this second half. So can they actually close this one out, knowing that there's some weaker economies, and they also, most importantly, have a couple of huge round-winning ultimates available?
I think that's why we see them playing a little bit safer into this round here as well. Not being maybe 100% certain if ADG went for the investment or if it's going to be more of like a half buy coming out from them. But you have to expect that the full buy is going to come through, right?
Yeah.
That timing on the drone, though, was absolutely massive. I don't know if it actually caught Hugh over towards A main. That's why you see the Spike now taking that opportunity to lean over to the right side of the map.
We're going to try to fake out the defense here with a couple of smokes.
Yep.
And a little bit of pressure with the Owl drone and Sacred committing for now inside of these smokes. Yeah, make some noise. Defense is pulled off pretty convincingly from A, and now here's the actual execute utility coming through over onto the A site. Defense will have to respect the fact that Sacred could be here looking for timing. No fireballs able to find the E-limb, and they do also have the Armageddon to block the choke point, and now you have to try to commit one way or the other for ADG, and it just does not feel good as Chaotic can only create one, leaving the defense to feel pretty secure in their setup right now, although as Fireball drops, it opens up space at B.
God, the back and forths on these rotations have me a little bit dizzy, but 10 seconds to get that plant secured. It will go down for Bones.
Hunter's Fury will tag, not finish, but yeah, they've got Son of Car in position to watch this little tango, but hold on a second. Hugh through the smoke catches one, and now it's just a 1v2. How in the world does ADG get away with this? The fake was completely countered. Well, I can tell you how they get away with it. It's like that little bit of dizziness that you talk about, but most importantly, Fireball Ops just kind of overheats. He doesn't need to necessarily take that space away. He gets caught, and it leaves the rest of the defense, who was trying to play safe in the back of the site, a little bit off guard.
Granted, I will give him the fact that in what world do you expect the Sova to still be in B window when the rest of the team is going back over towards the A side after that pump fake towards the B side? So he's like anticipating, you know, a flank to come through there. But again, you cannot deny how good these mid-round calls have been out from T-Dog. A massive first pick here for Chaotic.
That late in the round, I just don't think you need to necessarily step up to take that space, but making up for it here is Nightblood. They find the first 2 eliminations cleanly, especially considering the fact that they are on a split purchase right now. So
yeah,
Nightblood will just make sure no one's lingering at A for now. See if maybe you can follow up to collect these weapons that were dropped at mid. But ADG is going to have the space and time to get a plant, and most importantly, T-Dog's got the Hunter's Fury for the post-plant security.
And you need to play up a little bit here as well. Get a little bit more of that space. You have a deep look over towards the flank, trying to seek out that information early. But now, Monty's also going to be, or sorry, T-Dog's going to be met with a 2v1.
Hello?
It's a wallbang moment. We thought we were covered, drone out. We're going to move on from that one, Shift.
Yeah. It's just another one of those moments, though, that you're starting to see those small little mistakes. Although there's always someone to pick up afterwards, and it's Sacred. 3 from the front side of the site stops the retake. And on the back side of that, you also still had Hugh in position to watch for the flank, and we're tied at 11.
And those are the moments that I was talking about for Sacred. Just his ability to figure out ways to isolate those 1v1s, rescue these rounds, and flip them back into the favor of ADG when things are seemingly starting to go wrong with those flank picks, right? Now, being tied up, like you said, ADG definitely have the momentum behind them, but we're also seeing the operator being pulled out here for Fireball Ops, solo towards that A site as ADG look to run B.
Slowing them down.
Well, a little bit of a messy battle, and Hugh somehow comes out on top for first blood. Hunter's Fury for the offensive T-Dog, trying to split up this defensive setup, but largely speaking, Spaz was okay for a time. But ADG able to still force the issue forward, come away with the numbers. And at this point, I mean, if you're Fireball Ops and Practo, the rest of your team is, and yourselves as well, are on no economy. These are going to be the only weapons you have to fight for at overtime. So likely you're going to see them just try to play for a pick, and then I would have to imagine back away.
Yeah, it depends on how this first fight goes. With that damage taken there for Fireball Ops, you're expecting them to look to walk back for that save. It is going to be exactly that. Could have been a bit of a different story had that shot landed. Perhaps we would have seen the retake incoming, but now it gets a bit worrisome, right? ADG, they're going to be on that match point. Hugh is just 1 away from getting that the convergent pass online. Sacred has the not dead yet there as well. So just great tools for the entry here for ADG, who have been now leaning more into that tempo change towards that B site.
Wow. What a turnaround this has been, man. And I hate to say that this is spoken a little bit into existence here, but it's another one of those rounds. You go back to round 21 and you say Nightblood have everything they could possibly want to secure a match point situation. They drop that off of, maybe you could call it a mistake. Maybe you could just call it just overinvestment in terms of trying to play forward if you're Fireball, whatever it happens to be. It's just, it feels like another one of those same story, different chapter type situations for Nightblood. Late into a game, into the advantage, tools to use to close out a map, and now all of a sudden you're scrambling trying to find some sort of a play call to get you to overtime.
Cosmic Divide available here for Spaz at the very least. It could be a really key component into some sort of retake on the side of NBG. ADG for the last several rounds, they've been conditioning those B hits, and now I feel like it is a little early to say because we are still in like that timeout pause screen, but because of that, I imagine that we're going to be pulling Fireball Ops back over towards that B side, expecting to see a little bit more of that information, potential delay over towards A, where we're all constantly seeing Practo playing. Not a bad choice though, considering how much impact those salvos have had and being able to buy time for those rotations to come through here for NBG, but I don't know. I'm kind of worried about the possibility of Spaz getting kind of isolated here backside when he's only on a stinger.
I'll return.
Well, Spaz going to get a bit of a read here defensively. That's all that they're supposed to have. Cosmic Divide at the ready. They want to try to block off this backside of the site, the defense to get into position, but have to wait for help to get here first. And honestly, Spaz takes a little bit of extra damage that has them a little bit worse for wear. Practo bouncing one off the corner that actually will land, but T-Dog's able to find the spray through the smoke to confirm first blood. So now 5v4. There's the Divide, backside of the site to try to block off the post plant deep. Not going to really influence who, though, who has the opportunity to pull the paths if they want to. Here's the dash on forward for Sunakar, though. Able to find one. Up top, Sacred. Able to save some of this post-plant setup. Nightblood in some trouble now. Oh, well, the Bones. A little bit of an overheat there. Trying to find timing with the shorty. That doesn't work. So to a 2v2. Oh, but Sacred gets popped. Now some space gets taken, but Hugh steps forward from the corner and will secure the map. And it's just another one in a long line of Nightblood Gaming not being able to close out a map, man. Oh, it's a heartbreaker for NBG.